Die Thorsi von Sarg. It's the 28th of the 8th month of 1438. And on the 23rd of the 8th month of 1437, again with an advanced guide to Enochian Magick by Gerald J. Scheuler. Well, there goes the second from Llewellyn's High Magic series this month. An advanced guide to Enochian Magick by Gerald J. Scheuler. And by the way, this is the Tablet of Navalge, which I think it's in a private video. I'll probably redo that. You know, that moldy apartment that you all saw, that some of you would have seen in other videos, destroyed a lot of things, so. Okay. It shouldn't surprise you when I tell you two things. The first is that when he says advanced, he means his own working of and understanding of Enochia. Everybody should have more than just a, I've memorized this, I'm passing it on. Strive for something else. That doesn't mean that you can't, that doesn't demean those with just the knowledge that they've picked up of a path or their conception that's been passed on. That's fine. The next is that I believe that actual advancement of Enochian is rare, if ever actual. I'm not saying that people can't advance their own beliefs, practices, understanding, learning, sharing, and experience in a particular spiritual system. What does seem apparent is that some traditions were more advanced in their founding than whatever the conservatives, liberals, and reformists did after them. I know I'm advocating fundamentalism here, but okay. Another issue is what comparison meets unknowns and what is lost. Gerald and Betty Scheuler are known for their inaccuracies with their Enochian system when compared to the material with John Dee and his scryers. Yes, there was more than Edward Kelly or Edward Talbot, whichever one was his real name. As right or wrong of the claims against people, sometimes they are best that they are going to be with a conservative, fundamentalist, liberal, or reform interpretation of their faith. So, okay, if somebody's one of the other four, whatever, that's fine. That may be the best way they're going to be in that group. Enochian, as we know it, came to John Dee and scryers through entities going by several names. Later, several organizations and individuals claimed that those in the 1500s merely rediscovered a more ancient path, and other such high-end claims as they developed their own systems of Enochian magic. Even though these were not the sexless angels that are God's loyal host of light beings, the Enochian entities were not as sexual as Aleister Crowley made them out to be. Maybe in his own experience, what he conjured up. Of course, Madini is the famous exception for her nudity and recommendations towards wife swapping. As much as I have been told my teachings might sell, if I stripped some of it down to only techniques, I agree with Gerald J. Scheuler in that context are needed. Beliefs, practices, mythology, ethics, whatever you want to call it, that's necessary, people. I'm not going to apologize for that. Some of that context is theories and ritual features from elsewhere. All this talking about ritual clothes and equipment from elsewhere in books on Enochian magic makes me, at times, lose track of what is in John Dee's experience of the system. Also remember that John Dee didn't start off doing Enochian magic and can't really be said to have made what came to him his only practices. I have long ignored the understanding of the Enochian watchtowers as truncated pyramids. The top is the Enochian letter, or its transliteration. Away is the tablet. Towards is the angle. To the right is the attribute. And to the left is the angel. The quadrant before you is as the tablet which it resides on has the number of the Sephirotic cross, or the Calvary cross, of 5 by 6 squares. Also, those 160 squares on the great table are given the attribute of spirit on the quadrant away from you. The quadrant on the left of the table, there's 675 squares in the whole thing, by the way. The quadrant on the right is the quadrant on the left is the tablet which the square is on. This quadrant on the right is the quadrangle of that tablet which it is upon. The 4 cherubic squares per quadrangle have one attribute for the right and left quadrants in the order of earth, air, fire, and water. When reading the 2 on each side in the direction you would read the words. Now, the Tablet of Navalge does not have the stars in the corner, and it doesn't have the goetic snakes circling around it. That's just my artistic rendition. It felt right to me at the time. Water. When reading the 2 on each side of the direction you would read the words. The quadrant away from you would be the division of spirit, air, water, or fire that it falls under. Each of the elemental tablets has a cross of the 2 middle columns and the middle row. The columns are understood as Father and Son. The row is understood as spirit. The top quadrant is spirit, and the closer quadrant is the element. The tablet of union is colored with the row to the right and the column to the left. Towards and away from you would both be labeled as spirit. Presumably, it would also be the same when as the black cross of 25 by 27 squares. Would these all be flipped if the tablets were in Enochian and thereby read right to left? In my comment on the Enochian Tarot, I already shared my abbreviated understanding of his guide, environment, and experience of the 30 Enochian authors. Going towards the first, these are Tex, Re'eh, Bog, Za, Des, Vete, Ute. You know, it's either Vete or Ute, number 25 is. Nea, Tor, Lin, Asap, Kur, Pope, Zine, Tan, Lea, Oxo, Vata, or Uta, Zim, Loi, Ik, Zax, Zip, Zid, Deo, Maz, Lit, Paz, Zone, or Zone. Zone is a misspelling. Arn, and Lil. So, from the first to the last, which there's 30, so you can do one a day and do a round of the Enochian authors on a monthly basis, like I did at some point. Lil, Arn, Zum, Paz, Lit, Maz, Neo, Zid, Zip, Zax, Yuk, Loi, Zim, Vta, Oxo, Lea, Tan, Zin, Pop, Chur, Asip, Lien, Tor, Nya, Vte, Dis, Za, Bog, Rie, Tix, you know, going from 1 to 30. He employs a ritual technique based on the sigil of the governor names of each author are the names and phrases around the circle. Does his lack of putting Enochian in order to be read right to left decrease its effectiveness? Gerald J. Scheuler attributes a sexual type to each author. Are these universal, or do they indicate his own development in sexuality? That requires... Are these universal? That requires an external partner, mental masturbation, and sexual realization of yourself as being all the man and woman you need. Yes, thinking of yourself as male and female as its own sexual partner is what's being taught here. Now, so shape-shifting yourself into a hermaphrodite, is it a hermaphrodite or morphodite? What's that called? I'm going to skip that, by the way. Gerald J. Scheuler presents 13 Enochian rituals and a method to record results. He seems to show some confusion as to what words are Enochian and which come from elsewhere. He lists out the number values for Enochian based on the Golden Dawn use of Hebrew and Greek, according to Aram Solis, Golden Dawn geomancy, and according to Aleister Crowley. His analysis of the number values of words and phrases is to reduce them to a single digit. Becker, is that what that called? Becker? The Kabbalistic way. This is given the attributes like unity for 1, duality for 2, matter for 3, solidity for 4, spirit and matter for 5, animation for 6, completeness for 7, cycles for 8, and stability for 9. The 21 Enochian characters are also given the typical Golden Dawn zoomorphisms and anthropomorphism. He also implores the squares and formulas of Lahalasa, Omilomia, Kal, Iao, Ka, Kike, Tog, Kazab, Vavin, Vrielp, Yevitud, Miakod, Zit, and Yeleate. Some of these have sigilia to go with it, and standard types of Western ceremonial magic practices. We do find that sigillium, diameth, and other Enochian items had information and devices derived or developed out of them. But it is appropriate or accurate to do that and find meaning in whatever content you can. Oh, but is it appropriate or accurate to do that and find meaning in whatever content you can? Gerald J. Scheuler's An Advanced Guide to Enochian Magic fits in with the Llewellyn's High Magic series because it relates to forming a relationship with God and a hierarchy of entities and personal development in what it relates. So it's not high magic unless you're devoting yourself to something in one way of looking at it. It's not high magic unless you're developing or, trying to do some good for yourself or whatever. More than just, okay, I want something and here's how I'm going to get it. Anyways. God, a hierarchical person development, whatever place. It does address low magic or making changes in the world, but that is not the focus. In closing, I will ask the magician using Enochian 3 questions. And in the comment, when I ask questions, come on people, answer in the comment section. Does it make sense to turn the whole classes of inanimate things, demons, angels, possibly creations who lived in mortal or material bodies, and God, are to worship them instead of God to serve your purposes? Are you accomplishing your goals of experience, worldly results, learning, or devotion, relationships? What are you going to do about it if you are not?